Welcome to the REI Agent, a holistic approach to life through real estate. I'm Mattias, an agent and investor.
And I'm Erica, a licensed therapist.
Join us as we interview guests that also strive to live bold and fulfilled lives through business and real estate investing.
Tune in every week for interviews with real estate agents and investors.
Ready to level up?
Let's do it.
Welcome back to the REI Agent. Erica, always lovely to see you.
Good morning.
On and off the screen. We had an awesome guest today, Cory Jacobson. Cory and his partner, they do podcasts. They have a coaching program now. They're investors. So it was a really good episode. He's a motivating guy. Like you can tell he just is passionate about coaching and this phase he's in. So it was really a fun conversation.
Mm-hmm. It was. And we realized we have a lot in common with him. We talked quite a bit about voluntary adversity and doing some of the hard things, even though they make you feel pretty uncomfortable. They help you move to places where you'd like to be. Mm-hmm. And which is something that we talk about all the time. We haven't mentioned it a whole lot here recently, but we talk about it some in like doing our cold plunges, which I haven't done as much in the winter because it's
time to get that adversity
unbearable, which maybe I'll have to do one today. But we also have the CrossFit Open coming up starting this Friday is the first official day for the workout.
Yeah, of the recording of this. By the time this comes out, it might be already done. But there's 3 weeks in a row. If you're not familiar with a CrossFit Open, it's basically the whole world that does CrossFit will do the same workout at the same, over a weekend. It gets announced on Thursday, and you have until like Monday at 5, I believe, to submit the score if you're going to submit to CrossFit Official. And when you do that, you can kind of see how you stack up amongst your peers. So your age group, it could be your gender, your age group, your location. You can put custom filters in, like Swiss Mexican Americans. How do I stack up against them? Usually pretty well. But it's really the first taste of what I think a organized sport would have been like for me if I had done them in like high school, because you have to do this. You have like a heat. There's like an event, Friday Night Lights, where you show up and you have a time you're going to do your exercise, and then there's people cheering, and you have all that pressure, all that adrenaline. And I feel like that's the first taste of that kind of world I really had. You did some sports, right?
Yeah, I played volleyball in high school and had some of that, but it was also a group of girls in high school. And so I feel like CrossFit now as an adult is probably the most supportive athletic environment I've ever been in.
Yeah, we do have a really good culture of people just really cheering you on and wanting to do well. And there's competition too. I mean, like we all want to do well and we want to improve ourselves. But at the end of the day, it's just an exercise.
Yeah. Well, and last year you had COVID at the beginning of February, and that lingered for a while, which was really unfortunate timing with the Open. So this year you are healthy and ready to get into it.
Yeah, I only had pneumonia. I think I'm mostly better from that, but that was like a whole month. And it's just, that is one unfortunate thing about the Open, is that it's like at the end of February, and especially if little kids, I mean, you're just coming through the winter where they have not learned to wash their hands or do all the things that are needed to stay healthy. And so there's this sickness going through our house constantly, it seems like. So knock on wood that we stay healthy for the next 3 weeks so that we can show up. I don't know if you're going to, I'm not sure if I'm going to sign up for the official CrossFit, but part of the Open, but it's just fun. Cause we have been working on these things, these skills, these movements, all that stuff all year. And this is kind of like the chance you get to perform and show kind of what you've been working on.
Yeah. Last year, I squeaked in I think I was in the 75th percentile. And so I squeaked into quarterfinals and got a t-shirt. And I feel like that era of my life is I'm okay if that's where it ends. That was really fun last year. And it was fun to do it with the other athletes that were also in the quarterfinals that did a whole lot better than I did. But going into it this year, I'm hoping I have a little bit less anxiety, which always sets in like Thursday when they release the workout until I get the workout done. I'm also feeling a little bit injured. And so I'm just hoping that I can go in there and just have fun and do well.
Well, I've noticed too that sometimes when I do exercises that are really hard, like we've been doing like former open exercises every Friday. If I go in there with a more cavalier attitude about it, I maybe perform better. There's a million factors. And yeah, I definitely have, I've retested multiple times. And I don't know how that's going to be this year. If I don't sign up, maybe I won't need to do that. And that might be nice.
Yeah. But regardless, the years that we've done it, which I guess I've had 2 opens now, you've had 3. This will be my 3rd.
Yeah.
It's 3 weeks of like pretty hard focused training and performance. And it does come with some anxiety, which is also partly why I think we do so well, or we try to.
It's motivating.
Yeah. But it's fun. And then when it's all done, we usually end feeling pretty motivated to train through the summer. And we can recognize like our weak points and what we need to work on for the next year. And so then it sets us up for the next couple of months.
And then it all falls apart again
in the winter when we get sick and we get weak.
Well, and to go back and explain a little bit further with what you were saying about getting to the quarterfinals, that's how it all works. Is like you are, like I said, competing, with everybody in the whole world. So you're competing against the Michael Jordans. You're competing against the professional athletes as well. Not really. I mean, they're way ahead. But you can make it to the next level, quarterfinals. You can make it past that, all that, until finally you would end up at like the equivalent of like the Super Bowl for CrossFit, which is the Open, or I'm sorry, the games. And so that usually gets publicized somewhere. It's on YouTube or ESPN or whatever. And so, yeah, that's when all the top of the top that rose through all these different levels will finally compete against each other. And there's then the fittest in the world is dubbed by the winner, both female, male, and teams, and then different age categories like masters and all that kind of stuff. So it's a lot of fun. It's motivating. That's one of the reasons why it's motivating. That's one of the reasons why I feel like it's a cheat code. I don't think you have to do CrossFit. I obviously believe it's more motivating than a lot of other things for all these reasons. But, I think with that theme of showing up, there's a long period of time with CrossFit that I would look at the workout. I would dread the workout. I'd be worried about the workout. I'd be thinking about it, be like, oh God, this is gonna be so hard. But then if I just showed up, I would go through the workout, and it would also not be fun. It'd be kind of hard, right? But then when I was done, I was like, that was the best hour of my day. And what an awesome cheat code to getting, I've been in the best shape of my life. I didn't snowboard for 10 years. And the first time I got back on my snowboard after 10 years, I felt better at snowboarding than the last time I went or ever, because I'd just in better shape overall. So I think if you can find those cheat codes that motivate you, that surround yourself with people that are, ahead of you. We talk about this in the podcast a little bit more too, about how if you're surrounding yourself with people that, will raise you up higher, it could be investing, that could be mentorship, coaching, masterminds, all that kind of stuff, you're going to get to a better spot than you were before. Do I need to rant more about adversity? Because I could go back into that. And that's another thing about CrossFit, or another thing about working out is once you get through it, you don't want to do it. Once you get through it, and so many people think we're crazy when we do these things or talk about what we're doing, but when you get through it, you feel so rewarded, and you can feel that benefit, the stress relief, all that kind of stuff that comes along with it. So I'm hooked. I drank the Kool-Aid. If anybody wants some Kool-Aid, I can send you affiliate links. JK, I don't even know if there are. But yeah, I guess without further ado, after that long rant, do you have anything you want to say? Did I cut you off?
No, I don't feel like there is anything left to be said.
I could probably find something else. But anyway, let's just get into our next episode with Cory Jacobson. Welcome back to the REI Agent. I am here with Cory Jacobson. I should have clarify that first. Jacobson, right?
Yes, sir. You got it right.
I had that moment of panic. I was like, is that a weird name? Can I say it?
You did great.
It's pretty easy to sound out there. You got it.
Yeah. Cory, thanks so much for joining us. You're out of the Philly area. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah.
So you're not wearing green today. Are you over the Super Bowl victory?
First day in like 3 weeks, I haven't been wearing green. So you caught me on an off green day. I've been celebrating the birds for literally 2 weeks straight. It's we're having fun here. It's always sunny in Philly. So yeah.
They really showed up. That was impressive.
If you want this podcast to be about the Eagles, I can certainly turn into that. I've been literally riding this high for so long. So, and I don't know, man. I don't think we're going anywhere anytime soon. That was just too fun. So we'll see.
No, that was great. Cory, you have a partner in crime, Ryan. Can you say his last name for us?
Yeah, this one you might need me to chime in. So Bevilacqua. It is how it sounds, but people mess that one up. Ryan Bevilacqua. Yeah,
where's that from? Do you know?
Ryan's from the Cape in Massachusetts, but it's Italian, and he doesn't look Italian. He looks more Irish, but he's got kind of half Irish, half Italian, and that's my best friend. We've been doing business together I've been friends with him for 14 years. We've been doing business together for 7, and he's, we're a two-headed monster. So
that's awesome. Yeah. I guess tell us a little bit about your origin story. How'd you get started in real estate?
Yeah. So this is an interesting one. I used to work for the Philadelphia 76ers. So I'm like through and through, been in Philly for a long time. I was running their youth camps. I'll make this not too long, but basically I was making $35,000 a year. So, to some people that may be a lot of money. It's not a lot of money in my opinion, but I was doing what I loved. I was coaching basketball. My boss there was like, I'm going to get you a raise. Like, I want you to stay. The raise was $5,000. I was like, wow, this isn't really going to affect me that much. I'd love to stay, but I'm not sure how. He's like, you know how you can stay? There's all these young people that work here. You should buy a 5-bedroom house and rent 4 of the bedrooms out to some of the people that work here. And then you can live and you can make money while you live, and that can help you stay here longer. So this is one of my mentors. I really loved him. Shout out to Todd. And I actually took his advice. I bought a 3-bed, 2-bath. I lived in 1 bedroom, rented out the other 2 bedrooms. I went from paying $1,000 a month in rent to living for free. It didn't keep me working there too much longer because I was like, I went into sales and I kind of changed my mentality to try to make more money. But that started my journey. I was able to save up there, buy a duplex, cash flowed a couple $100s a month. But 3 years later, I was able to sell it for $100,000 profit. And that's when like Ryan and I started to partner together. We've been friends forever. We started a social media. Shout out to at Wealth Juice Official. That's our social media. We started a social media podcast and our real estate company in like beginning of 2020 all in the same time, and just figured, people will probably follow along with our journey. Bigger Pockets is amazing. It helped us get started, but I think there's a lot of stories of people that have 1,000 units that started in 99. And it's like, it's hard. It's not relatable to buying today. So hopefully people started to follow along. We started when we had 3 units. I had my house hack. I had 1 duplex and ride as primary residence. And we just said, hopefully people listen in. And we were able to brute force our way to like 8 units between the 2 of us in the next couple of years. And then the podcast and the social media really is what springboarded stuff. Partnerships formed. We got into rooms with people that we never had any business being in rooms with. And we started to really network and organically kind of create those partnerships. And 8 units turned to just over 80 units between me and him, some between general partnerships on an 18 unit, a 43 unit, a 7 unit. And most recently we got a 10 unit under contract in different markets. And that was really like how we started, but it was just, it was connection and putting ourselves in the right rooms with the right people. So I gave you the last 6 years in like, I don't know, what was that, 2 minutes? So that
was very concise.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. That's amazing. And you guys were both still with your W-2 at that time, right?
Yeah, I left my W-2 job. I don't know when this podcast is going to be released, but I left my W-2 job in September. So 6 months ago, really. So we were all building this up through, us saving up money with our W-2 jobs. Both of us. Rye still has his. We use it for getting loans. He has a family. I'm not single, but I don't have kids. And I think that the partnership aspect has been amazing for both of us. And that's how we've been able to kind of parlay ideas off of each other. And yeah, that's how it's going.
Wow. Congrats, man. How did you come to the decision to leave your W-2 finally?
We talked about this pre-recording, this whole voluntary adversity thing. I think that I don't believe that my full potential was able to be realized unless I went all in. And I put it off for a long time. I'm 33. I was like doing all this on the side. I worked for my family's business. I loved my family. If you know about family businesses, there's pros and cons to that. And I was in sales. I was making good money. And I just thought, I'm not going to be able to really drive this thing forward content-wise, buy more real estate, create our coaching program and get it off the ground unless I'm full-time. And I just said, no one's going to come knocking on my door telling me it's the right time. That's just not how it works. Right. I have a pretty high risk tolerance. I didn't burn the boats day one, but after 4 or 5 years of doing this, it's like, you know what, like I'm never going to know. And I'd rather have, oh shit, I messed this whole thing up rather than regrets. So I just said, let's do it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I think there's a lot of things to unpack. We should definitely get into the adversity
we have to.
part.
We talk about this all the time.
But I wanted to also ask you, one of the other themes that I've been kind of thinking about a lot here recently is showing up. Just super simple concept of showing up. And you said you have a high risk tolerance, but I'm sure you have some legs, right? I mean, you've obviously built some legs at this point. So be able to jump in, you could take it further. So I mean, there is some like proof of concept there, right?
100%. Yeah. I mean, so burning the boat strategy is like, I've been investing for a long time in real estate. We always tell people that it kind of takes 18 months to 2 years for your properties to season anyway, right? Like we're a general partnership in a bunch of projects. We didn't see any dollars as general partners for 18 months. So now they're starting to really like make us the money, the depreciation. We're saving all this money on taxes. And I said, if not now, then when? Like when is the right time? When I have 3 kids? Like, am I going to feel more comfortable diving all the way in? Like I want to build this foundation. So I just, Ryan and I invested in the 401k with work. We invested in the brokerage accounts. I have like kind of some, as you mentioned, legs to the table to stand on a little bit. And then my thing is like, I love creating relationships and connections and selling and trying to get people to buy into us and our vision. And that's the coaching program. That's like mainly what I do full time. The real estate is now like parlayed on the side of that. We teach people how to buy their first and next rental property because of how much that first one changed my life. I was like, if I can help people do this, if I can help people see the light and one property can change it all for you. It changed everything for me. I mean, just as an example, that property that I bought, 3-bed, 2-bath for $250,000 that I thought I was overpaying for at the time is now worth $400,000. My mortgage is $1,500 a month and I can rent it for $2,700 a month. I mean, that's one property. That's a big deal for somebody, and it was for me until we got into larger projects. But it's like, everyone thinks that everything's so expensive. I you hear that all the time. And like people said that in 2017. So like, what are you going to think in 2033? Like get in the game and let's show you how this can change your life. And just because it really changed ours.
I think it's a very true rule of thumb is that, I experience this as well when I buy. Still, even though I know this, is that I always feel like I overpay. Like,
every time,
even if we're getting like a slamming deal, like I'm like, oh, if I could have just gotten it for like.
I remember saying to my agent at the time, who I didn't use after that because I just didn't know any, like it was just a one-time transaction. But I was like, am I really gonna? Like I was splitting the difference between $4,000. I almost was like, I don't want to spend $4,000 more. And meanwhile, that appreciation happened in about 4 months. So It's like, there's this psychology and this analysis process that people have to get through. And I think the best way to get through that is to surround yourself with people who have done it a few steps ahead of you, who've just seen it. Yeah. And that is what changed the game for us.
I like to point out that, my parents, we just sold the family home, 30 years of that appreciation you're talking about. Right. And, I think they buy it for like 85,000 or something when they bought it. It's like $85,000 and sold for, I don't know, 3 something, but all that to say is like, they were probably squabbling over like $50 or $200 at the time. Like it was,
the joke is you can buy something for 3 raspberries back then, right? But like my parents, it's a very similar story. My parents bought a property for $300,000. My dad lost a bunch of money in 2008 in real estate, but he has 2 properties now. One of them, it was my primary, like the place I grew up in. He bought it for 300, sold it for 850, and he made all this money off of it just by holding it for 25 years.
Yeah.
And now he has a shore home that he bought for 450,000 that's worth 1.3. And it's like, if you can, 2 homes, like 2 properties that just, he didn't even rent these out. They just had them, obviously the thought is like that, yes, there are liabilities when you live in them, right? But he had somebody approach him 1 month down the shore and he was like, I want to rent your place out in August. I'll offer you $25,000. He was like, I'll see you later. All right, you can have the place, right? So the opportunity to to have that is based all in just owning cash flowing assets or even just assets that will appreciate over time.
100%. Yeah. No, I think to your point, yeah, if you get in and you have time, if you're not forced to sell, that it's been a winning formula for a long time.
Yeah. So this voluntary adversity piece that you're talking about and the risk tolerance, is that something that's always been a part of who you are, or has that been something that's come up recently in the last couple of years?
Sports are like the best metaphor for life. I think I always growing up, I was like a decent athlete, but I was really intense about it. Like I always took it so seriously. Sometimes I wish I took it a little less seriously, but what it trained me to do is like team atmosphere, like putting yourself through hard things in order to push through on the other side. So, I mean, like since high school, I feel like I've always kind of been like that, but there's been a few influential people that have like changed the way I've thought. And Ed Milet's one of them. And he says, I have this tattooed on myself. I love it so much. He says, keep your promises to yourself. And what it really means is that in order to build self-confidence, you have to keep your promises to yourself and you have to do the things that you say you're going to do over and over again, so much so that you build up so much confidence in yourself that you're really not concerned about the opinions of others. So that comes through in involuntary adversity as well, where it's like, if I put myself through this thing, I trust myself so much so that I know I can do this thing that you don't really have a chance to knock me down. Like you can't say anything that's going to affect me. I already did this. I do the work. I go to the gym 5 days a week. I make the prospecting calls. I help the people that I say I'm going to help. Even as simple as, hey, I'm going to send you an email after this. You know how many people just don't do it? It's like, how can we trust the word of somebody if you're not going to say what you say you're going to do? So I think those 2 things go hand in hand. I haven't always been like this. I think, a lot of people have this like wake up call when you turn 30 and you're like, am I trustworthy? Am I the person that I say I am? When I look in the mirror, am I happy, physically, mentally, spiritually, whatever, all of those things. So I think voluntary adversity trains you to say, if the hardest thing I'm going to do today is something that I put myself through, then whatever comes next is pretty simple to me. I don't need, like, my house burned down. One of our rental properties burned down, but I did a really hard workout this morning and I'm glad I did that. And I'm like, you know what? This is real estate. Like you just deal with it. And I think it trains your mind to think like, if somebody else has went through this and dealt with it and came out on the other side, don't you think I can? And that's a mouthful there, but that's my take on voluntary adversity.
No, I love that. And it sounds like over the years, especially recently, it's more so you've honed it, even though it sounds like it's been kind of alive and well inside you the whole time. But
I haven't really talked about it a lot on a podcast, so I'm glad. Thank you for bringing it up. I mean, that's maybe you're confirming that I've honed in on it. I don't know. I love the topic, but it feels good to talk about. I think it's people are missing out on not putting yourself through those things to train yourself because your life and your world is habits.
Totally. I mean, I always say, you never crave what you need. You always crave what you want. And the things that you need are usually very uncomfortable when you go through them, but you feel a million times better when they're done.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, I'm not a big like cold plunge guy. Like I've done a few, like they're cool. But like doing that and having that really hard 3 minutes, it allows you to be like, are the things that are going to happen mentally, like through the rest of the day, are they going to be as hard as that? Probably not. So I think that's the point of it.
We built a cold plunge out of a freezer. And one of the things that got me to kind of I had kind of been thinking about this, and we ended up finding we flipped a house that had a stand-up freezer. I was like, well, that's going to fit better in our garage anywhere. I could use this chest freezer for a cold plunge one day. And then I heard Huberman, Dr. Andrew Huberman, say that one of the things that he likes to do is do something really difficult before he has to take on a challenge that is what otherwise he would probably procrastinate on. And so in my mind, I was like, oh, that's perfect. Like, you get in the cold plunge, and then you immediately start a task after that you would have, procrastinated on otherwise. And I haven't done that a lot, but the cold plunge has definitely been a really, people might argue a little bit about the benefits. I think the health benefits are there. Some people I've talked to argue that, it's kind of there's not a lot of longitudinal studies about it, but I do think if it's only that mental training, that is something. That is definitely something. Like, you have to get in, that's hard. And if you get through it, you have just, like you said, strengthened that habit. You've gotten yourself further along to the, I'm doing things that are hard, that are good for me. You're exercising that muscle. So I wish I was in the high school athlete world, because I feel like I would have gotten a lot more of this discipline stuff earlier. Something I've always thought about. I did work a lot in high school, but I never had that, I feel like physical exercise really is like a more tangible. You see the results, you feel the results from putting yourself through something difficult and then seeing progress. Then it can be a little bit less tangible when you're just showing up to a podcast for many years, which I'm sure, I was going to say earlier, we have that show up phase, right? Where you're just going to show up and grind through it, and you're not sure if it's going to get anywhere, but you're going to keep showing up, and eventually, progress happens.
Yeah, I mean, I coach high school basketball because of the love of it, really. And we've had a few guys go to the NBA, and I think it's really high level stuff. I think about it from a standpoint of, if most 15 and 16-year-olds and 17-year-olds are trying to figure out if they can get high or, or play video games or whatever, which they do, and maybe these kids do as well. But if their day is filled with practice and really, really tough practices and lifting weights, and then the pressure that these kids are under to perform, we play in front of, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 people. These kids they're kids, if you can train that in your head early at I can see the anxiety and the pressure. If you're doing that at 16, 17 and you repeatedly do it, you can't convince me that by the time you're in the working world, because not everyone's going to play professionally, that's not going to give you a leg up of somebody who doesn't put themselves through that. Even if you just play high school basketball at a public school and you don't play in front of thousands of people, you are putting yourself through the work. It's, I think it carries on. And that's why obviously you don't need to be an athlete to be successful. But I just think that it's this cheat code in a way early in life to show you what the real world's kind of like. I mean, if you have to win early, and if you're not being given participation trophies, you'll kind of feel what it feels like, that you're once you leave college, you're what what am I doing? No one's teaching me what to do. No one's coming to save me. So that to me was I never really realized that till later, because I didn't play at a super high level, but it helped me for sure.
Yeah. Cory, you talk a lot about giving back and teaching other people and trying to share the knowledge that you've built. And then you also mentioned earlier about kind of building a community or being in touch with people who are doing the same things you are, or who have done more, and learning from them. So I'm just curious how your community has changed since you guys got into the investing world, 6 years ago.
Yeah. So Ryan and I have been putting out the free content for 5 years. And we do a podcast every week. Now it's twice a week. We've ramped it up. We put out content on Instagram. And what I found that people are lacking is that there's an abundance of information out there. There's so much, all the strategies work. You can flip, you can wholesale, you can do Airbnb, you can do short-term rental, you can do long-term, you can do all this stuff. They all work. But what is the clarity behind what is going to work for me? Can somebody hold my hand and show me, I live in California, I live in Michigan, I want to do this. This is how much I have saved up. The community aspect of watching people that are a few steps ahead of you, not 30, but a few that have seen what you want to see, that can look over your shoulder and say, yeah, Jamie, or yeah, Trish, whatever your name, this is a good deal. You should make an offer on this. I'll tell you, because I looked at a property like this And now I've owned it for 18 months and it's done X, Y, and Z for me. And now that can blow analysis paralysis out of the water for you. So I think people came to us and said, what's the next layer to this? The free content's amazing. Like, do you guys teach? Do you guys coach? And I'm a coach at heart. I love to do it. So in August, we started our coaching program, teaching people how to buy their first and next rental property. If you have 15 units and you're trying to get to 50, like I can help you, but I can really, really hone in on people that are looking to get their first few, because we've done it over and over and we've helped people over and over do it. And I found that watching people get the right connections, build the right team, having the people that have helped us in our journey help them, it's been a world of difference. And people sometimes just need that push, like that, hey, I'm 85% of the way there. I'm going to push you out the plane and you're going to have to build a parachute on the way down. And it works because you'll analysis paralysis yourself to death if you think that you alone with your coworkers or your friends who have no care in the world about real estate, they're going to tell you not to do it. And until you're in the rooms with people that are like actually doing the thing, I think you don't get that picture of like what it could really look like and how it can really benefit you. So I don't know if I directly answered your question there, but the community is growing. We got 40, 50 members in a few months and we're selective. We want to work with people who are go-getters, who are ready to take this thing down and like who want it, who are coachable and who want to change their life. Cause it really, I mean, my goal was one property a year for 10 years as an investment vehicle on the side. I didn't think I'd be doing it full time, but you get around enough people that are like, doing really high level things, some osmosis kicks in and you're doing the high level things too.
It's so true. I mean, I think there's two elements there, such a good value to have a coach, to have somebody that's going to be able to help you through, that gets to know you, that can help push you when you need to be pushed, and give you the confidence or whatever you need to kind of take that next step. Cause you're right. I mean, I think a lot of people have that analysis paralysis, but yeah. And then surrounding yourself with people that are, ahead of you, that's great. I think also just not negative. Like a lot of people, I don't know if you went through a phase where people were maybe jealous, envious of you, or kind of would hate on you for the moves you were making. And kind of, it was just maybe stemming out of their own insecurities. But it's just, you got to surround yourself by people that will lift you up. Right.
I've really never had the whole like people hating on me thing. People were very supportive in the beginning. I don't know why they were. But I'll tell you, like the tagline for corporate America is like, we want you to do well, but not better than me. Right. So that's the feeling that I got when I was working a full-time job is you're like, well, I have all these people out there. They're like, don't do that. That's too risky. Like, why would you do that? I'm like, because I don't want to play it safe and I don't want your job in 3 years. Like, I don't want what I'm looking at here. I don't want this life. And no disrespect, some people just want the safety. And I think that's great. Like you can there's a million ways to live a life. Live it how you want, but I know I didn't want it. So I'm like, I think when I started to interview people who were successful, I really noticed that the real estate entrepreneurship game was not this greedy, like rich asshole thing, like it at all. It was more so like abundance and giving. And once you've made it to this stage, not my stage, but a few stages ahead, the joy you get isn't in the money. It's in like watching other people become successful. And there's an inherent selfishness in that a little bit because maybe you helped them. But I think it's like, it was eye-opening to me to watch, like to be around people that really wanted me to succeed. And really, guys, it started from like, hey, this whole like, can I buy you coffee? Can I pick your brain? Can I do? And like, I kept seeing that over and over. And I was asking people that. And I'm like, nobody wants to do that. It's like, that's not some people are nice enough to do that, but like actually go to them and fill a hole in their life or their business. And then those people are going to pay attention to you because there's a lot of people listening probably that are trying to get their start. They're trying to buy their first. They're trying to build their agent business. And it's like, if you can fill voids for other people that are a couple steps ahead of you, and some of that is paying for a mentorship program. That's the value that you give them, the exchange of the dollars, and they coach you. I think when we talked about sports, you have coaches your whole life. You have professors in college. You get out of college and you're like, maybe you don't go to college, whatever it is, but you get out of the school and you're like, what now? And when the stages and the stakes are the highest, you say that you shouldn't have a coach. You shouldn't be taught so it's interesting because the internet is like a very, you have to make sure that these people are legit and there's scams everywhere, but to put some people put that down. And I just think that it's never been more beneficial. If we had mentors in the beginning, we would have 300 units, so
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, completely.
Mm-hmm. We've done this podcast, I guess, coming up on a year here in a month or two. And it does seem like there's themes that keep emerging through all these different conversations. And one is that abundance mindset. It just really feels like everybody has started from nothing at some point, and they've learned so much from other people who have done it, and they want to share what they've learned, and they want to help other people succeed. And then that big action that keeps coming up too, like don't get stuck in the analysis paralysis. You want to take big action and don't let fear stop you, even if it can feel a little scary, but it does take a little bit of courage. And then that, just show up and don't be attached to the outcome. Those seem to be showing up in our podcast over and over and over. I don't know about you. I'm not sure what kind of conversations you guys have on yours, but it's just.
Yeah. I mean, all the above, right? I think it's just, if everyone's saying it over and over again and people are doing it, like, why not just be scared and do it anyway? And like, that was my kind of mantra, is like, it is scary. If it wasn't scary, it wouldn't be worth doing. But if you allow that fear to consume you, then you'll never get on the other side of where these people are telling you, they're giving you the blueprint. You just got to do it. And every single person that's come in, whether it's through our community or just people we've talked to that have just pushed through the fear, I mean, you get through on the other side, and then your problems that you thought were problems are just minuscule, and then you have bigger problems, and then you tackle those ones.
The irony too is that it ends up being a lot safer. Like, I understand the fear of jumping into the unknown and doing something on your own. I totally don't want to dismiss that, but once you get the momentum going, once you show up enough that you have the legs that you have some income coming in, it is safer. I mean, there are, obviously, I'm not going to try to get political on this or anything, but government jobs have always seemed to be a very safe route. People are getting laid off. Have always been, like working for a good corporate company that you move up, layoffs happen there all the time. And so like, you can't control that. And you're really just learning how to become a functioning cog in a machine. If you are in the entrepreneurial space, if you're an agent, if you are an investor, you're really understanding the world a little bit more fundamentally, where you're looking for needs that you can fill. And once you kind of unlock that, you can really take that and apply it a lot of different places. So even if there's a market crash or whatever, and real estate sales are down, if you also have an investment portfolio, you probably are going to be in a better place, right? If everything's tied in real estate and the real estate's down, you might find that you could apply that value, filling the need in the marketplace in a different area. But it is really ironic that it seems like the unsafe, the risky move, but really it ends up being way more secure than a corporate job or a government job.
Yeah, just time makes it safe. That's the thing.
Yes.
Like, time in the market makes it safe. And I think that people confuse safety with comfortability, but comfortability is the anti to growth. So I'm not going to paint entrepreneurship in this light that everyone should do it, because not everyone should do it. But if you're listening to this podcast episode and you're having those feelings, like, I'm just like built for more, like, I don't see myself interacting with these people in the same way. I don't want to play it safe. I don't want to just, waltz through life and let it take me in the directions that it decides. If you want to take control, then you're probably, there's something there. You might be built for this entrepreneurial thing. The only thing that I'll say is that there are swings left, right, up and down, and you have to dodge them. And it's not linear. It can be exponential, but it's not linear. And I think that we learned that quickly in the real estate game. Our third property burnt to the ground.
It's crazy.
And I, thinking to myself, like, does real estate not work? Like, we had the biggest problem that could have potentially happened happen. Do we suck at this? Like, I can't believe it. It turns out it worked out fine. Like, that's why you have insurance. Like, that's why you're able to take that cash and move it into a different property, and we're getting a higher return now. But I think that if you don't have people around you that are telling you, like, I've been through this, like, it does suck, you're going to get through it. If you don't have that, it can be lonely. And then maybe you do give up and you go back to safety. And I just try to get out of my comfort zone as much as I can, because I know that on the other side of it is just better. and bigger. And then eventually knowing that there needs to be some sort of contentedness with your life, because bigger and better and striving for the highest all the time. Like there's always another mountain to climb. So, but once you have your basic needs covered and you can really like pursue the passions that you want to pursue, I just think life gets more fun.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I guess I have two questions. First, what you just said that piqued my curiosity. What are the passions that you're wanting to pursue?
I'm doing it right now, which is cool. It's fun. I love to coach. Yeah. I love to teach. I think I'd love to travel a little bit more. I'm in a phase right now where I'm like, my head's down, like I'm in the work, but I love the work. So it's like, I think my passions are really surrounded by like, I love connections. I love people. I love creating relationships. I love watching other people win and grow and like having me be a little piece of that pie. So coaching, I love doing that. I love to travel. I think that's like, you live your life in seasons. The last 3 years it's not like I don't travel at all, but I'm not 100% fully abundantly financially free yet. I have some freedoms, right? And I got to take gratitude in that. So I think, the passions are really coaching, teaching, and mentoring. I like real estate. Like I don't love buildings, like I think that people get that confused. Like my passion is real estate. I mean, my passion is, I do love the design and the Airbnb space and creating a cool experience for someone. That's a passion of mine. And we have a few Airbnbs. But I think it's really like, I'm doing the things that I'm passionate about already. I just want to do them at a grander scale.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then I was also curious, can you tell us about the deal that you had the most fun with?
Yeah, for sure. Deal I had the most fun with. So the deal that went the most south ended up allowing me to pursue the deal that I had the most fun with, which isn't that, I mean, that's like the moral of this podcast right here. Right. So, Ryan and I have a couple. We just got a 10 unit under contract in Quechee, Vermont, that we're turning from long-term units to midterm because we're very close to Dartmouth College and Dartmouth Health. So that's fun because I'm doing it with a partner who we met through the podcast, who we met through social, who has we've done multiple deals with him. He's boots on the ground. Ryan and I are like the marketing, investor relations, deal underwriting, capital raising. Like that's what we bring to the table there. That's a fun deal. But the most fun deal is my girlfriend went to University of Tampa and she brought me down there just to visit a couple years ago. And I was like, I'd love to own a property down here. Like I live in Philadelphia. It happens to be 50 degrees today, but yesterday was 26. And I'm like, I just want to be able to live in multiple areas. So I kind of put my head down. I went to work. I tried to find some properties down there. I flew down there a couple of times. I met with the right people. I created a relationship with somebody who's now is a lifelong friend who found me this property with a beautiful backyard and a pool. And I was able to roll some funds from a project into this. It's a 3-bed, 2-bath. I use it as a short-term rental. I furnished it. I spent a bunch of money and I'm recouping those dollars now, but it did, $110,000 revenue in 2024. And I at any time I can say, hey, I want to go down there and enjoy it. I want to go down and spend time there. And so that to me has been so fun to be able to be like, I can snowbird at 33. Like this, I'm not special. Like I'm not, I'm telling you, like this isn't a rags to riches story. I didn't come from nothing. I grew up in middle class, but I'm just like, there was something that I thought like, why could I not do this? Like people have done, if somebody's done it before, who's my age, why couldn't I do it? And now I have this place that I go down to a few times a year. Talk about fun. I mean, we were just down there in January and I'm like, it's 67 degrees and I'm not freezing and that's fun.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Totally. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. We haven't delved into the short-term space at all. Other than on my sales hat. We're looking at turning a property into a midterm rental now. We're having a lot of fun with that, and we'll see where that journey leads. But it's just amazing how more and more opportunities will present themselves if you're in the game. If you start, like if you get that first rental that you overpay, right? And you're like, how am I going to afford this mortgage? And then fast forward a few years, you all of a sudden have equity that you can play with it, with an equity line or selling it, whatever. And it just more and more, doors open. So to your point earlier, like with time, it just becomes a lot more safe and becomes a lot more fun.
Yeah. And you can pull in, and then you can really have the options to pull money out of projects. And like, I took out a home equity line of credit on my primary residence to invest in another project. And I think, you got it, but you can't buy your second without buying your first, and I think your second becomes a lot more scary. Like, it took us 2 years of searching and like working through that analysis paralysis, maybe not that long, 18 months of working through that analysis paralysis to buy the first, bought my second a year later, bought my third 4 months later, but my fifth, it's like you just get better, it doesn't really get easier, but you get better. And I think you got to dive in head first. Unless the world turns completely upside down, and I know it has over the last 5 years, but not enough so that if you buy a property in 2025, if I'm talking you into 2045, if you don't have equity and you don't have a nest egg from that property, then something went drastically wrong. And I mean, like globally, like maybe we're not here anymore. That's like what real estate can do for you.
Yeah. 100%. And then you get into fun things too. Cause like this property, we don't have the appraisal back end. So we don't know exactly what we're getting, with the cash out refinance, but we're able to float the whole project on equity lines, and then cash out more than we, put into it. So we got a pure BRRRR strategy, tax-free income, from whatever extra, we got it off the top. And then hopefully it will perform well, to be determined.
So you guys are BRRRing in 2025. Everyone says you can't do that. Look at that. You're doing it. I think it's a BRRRR midterm rental. That's what it is?
Yeah. And that's okay yes. And that's the key there. Cause I don't know if it would work, long-term. It would be very close. It'd be very tight, long-term. And so that's why we swifted it over into midterm to, make more money, and make, with the higher interest rates to make that all pencil out. Cause it's a cool property close to downtown that we wanted to keep. And so you just got to figure out a way. You got to get a little more creative sometimes to make it work.
I think that's the probably the most advantageous strategy of 2025, 2026 is midterm. We bought this is like, my partner is buying, he has 400 units and he never buys a turnkey property. How can you make it work? You got to force it, appreciate. How can you raise money from investors if you buy a turnkey property, because you're not going to be able to pay them back? We found a recently flipped 10-unit property, and we were looking at the numbers on like what it rents long-term, downtown, bars, restaurants, 15 minutes from healthcare, tech institutions. Like it's in the spot. It's on a country club. We haven't closed yet, so maybe I shouldn't be giving this whole thing up, but we're under contract. And the turning the $2,000 a month rents into $3,000 a month rents times by 10 each of the units, it becomes a home run. And we only underwrote it with turning 6 of them because we just figured, maybe the demand isn't there, but it's a 0.4% vacancy rate. And it's so, I say all this to say, you can do so many different strategies in 2025. You can buy turnkey properties. You can change the way that your customers are your tenants, right? So like who are your customers? Are they long-term? Are they short-term? Are they medium-term? And I think with COVID and having, people work in all different areas in all different capacities, remote, that people are traveling to work. Like I've done it. I've gone down to Tampa and worked for a month. And if I didn't have a place down there, I'd do it and I'd rent. So I think, I love the midterm strategy. I think it's one of the ways you can make properties that otherwise wouldn't pencil out, especially in a market where people think everything is super, 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 super expensive.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Man, I love how you talk about this, Cory. Like I can tell you're really excited about it. I can tell you really like it. And I feel like anybody listening it'll make them feel really excited about it too. And so often I think it's really tough to do that first property, to figure out how to do it, which I love that you pulled the coaching piece of it in there, because I think that could be so helpful for somebody to just give you the little bit of the push that you need. And so I love that you guys are offering that.
Yeah, thank you. I think it is. I hope you can feel that it's a passion of ours, and there are many, you don't need to hire us as a coach. There are tons of coaches out there that can help you. But I do feel that we bring a unique perspective based on our journey and what we've seen and the people that we've already helped. And, I don't win unless the people that come into our community win. If they're going and telling other people that we're doing a great job and we're helping them every step of the way, then I'm winning. If they're not getting the value, then I'm doing something wrong. So I just want it to be known about that, like in anything, like you got to bring it. You got to bring the value, or, you can just be labeled as a coach that doesn't actually really help people. And I don't think that helps the overall sentiment about coaching and mentorship in 2025. Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Agree with that completely. Do you have a book that you would say is fundamental for everybody to read, or one that you currently really like?
Yeah, there's a bunch. I just recently read $100 Million Leads and $100 Million Offers by Alex Hormozi. I've really been getting into his content recently. And it's funny. It's like, we've been doing some of the things that he's talking about in this book. I didn't even realize it, but now we've like put gasoline on the fire. And that applies to any business with anyone. $100 million leads, $100 million offers. I think you want to read offers first, offers, then leads, because you need to decide what your offer is. And this applies to anything. If your offer is to go, you're an agent, you need to sell homes, like you should be building content around that. I mean, that is the 2025 business card. That is the virtual resume that people want to see. If somebody hands me a business card, I lose it. It doesn't work anymore. And I think, but if I can say, hey, go check out our social, or go check out our website, and you can be like, wow, you guys are putting really time, energy, and effort into bringing the value, the free content. It is the foundation of what our real estate portfolio has been built on. So those two books spell that out, exactly how to do that. And I would highly recommend. You're not too late. You're not too late to the game. It's just, it takes, doing content and being, it's a part-time, full-time job. It should be, but like you can do it part-time. So yeah.
Yeah. Alex is brilliant.
Yeah.
He's amazing. And I think I'm like halfway through offers. I have so many books from this podcast that I'm reading at the same time. And then I go in spurts and different ones. But I love that book so far, and it's been really good. So I'm excited to read Leads as well. Cory, if is there any place that people could reach out to you? Is there a website, social media? Where's the best place for them to find you all?
Yeah, the best place to find us is our Instagram, and that's at Wealth Juice Official. You'll see Ryan, my ugly mug, on there. We do this like the two of us together. He is the integrator, the behind the scenes guy, more so mainly because he has a full-time job, and I've kind of become the visionary, the face. And but we have podcasts twice a week. We release podcast episodes Wednesday, Saturday. We post content every day, multiple times a day. Really to try to educate people on what they might be missing if they're going to let real estate and the opportunities pass them by. So Wealth Juice Official on Instagram is where we're most active. YouTube, we're trying to build up as well. You can check out our podcast, the Wealth Juice Podcast. And then, those are the best places to get in touch with us. If you DM us, it's me responding. So would love to chat with anybody who's really about anything, but anybody who's interested in trying to get in the real estate game for sure.
I love it.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you, Cory, for joining us. It has been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me. This is awesome. You guys are great.
Thanks for listening to the REI Agent.
If you enjoyed this episode, hit subscribe to catch new shows every week.
Visit reiagent.com for more content.
Until next time, keep building the life you want.
All content in the show is not investment advice or mental health therapy. It is intended for entertainment purposes only.